For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul Park. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I've been doing this new skin business now full time since 2010. Now, prior to New Skin, I had a background in finance and I was working in that field throughout my 20s. But after reaching age 30, I looked at the direction that my life was going in and realized that I didn't want to work at a job for 40 years of my life building someone else's business, building someone else's company or dreams. I wanted to be free. I wanted to have control of my own life. So at age 30, I decided to quit my job, started New Skin full time, and today I'm able to really live that lifestyle with freedom and really just live life on my terms. I know everyone here is working to build the life of their dreams, and I'm just going to dive right in to this training so that we can get the most out of the time together. As all of us are looking to succeed in New Skin, there are three key areas to succeeding in our business. And those three things that we need to succeed in New Skin are skills, knowledge, and mindset. And all three of these elements are so important. And in many of my trainings, I focus a lot on the mindset aspect of our business. And of course, mindset is such a crucial part of our business. A lot of times there's also great trainings on the company or on the products. And these trainings are to increase your knowledge levels. So there's so many great presentations and speeches that help us improve our knowledge, to improve our mindset. But I've noticed that there aren't that many trainings that are geared towards improving our sales skills. So this is what tonight's training will be focused on. If you want to be a big leader in New Skin, you need to learn how to sell, right? So selling in our business or selling in any business, selling in any industry requires some certain steps that need to be taken for us to achieve our goal. And for many times, as we are in the sales industry, our goal is to close a sale or to close a partner, because every time we do that, we are rewarded for those actions by earning commissions, right? So when we think of the work that we need to do, I know I'm a student of Team Elite University of OTG System 7. And for those that know the System 7 workflow, there's 7 steps that we need to do to grow this business. And the first one is to set goals. The second one is to invite. Then the second one is contact list: invite, present, follow up, get started, and teamwork. Okay, so there's 7 steps that we need to do in this workflow. But inside of the System 7, right, there are 4 key steps that I really want to focus my training on today, because these are the steps that we need to really work on a daily basis, because these are the steps that will actually do the growing part of our business. And this is the only way that we can earn money with New Skin. So the 4 steps that I'm going to talk about is the contact list, inviting, presenting, and following up. And I call this the pipeline of our business. These are the daily actions, again, that we need to take to make money in New Skin. If you can become a master in these 4 steps, you'll be successful. And as I talk about these 4 steps, I want all of you to think very deeply, to analyze where your business is today, and think about which area you feel that you need to improve on. As I do this training, I want all of you to not only just learn, but to self-reflect on your business and what you need to do to keep moving it forward this year. Now, as I stated before, so many people will spend the bulk of their training, of their time training, learning about the company, learning about the products. And all of that training is very valuable, but it's valuable for the presentation part of the pipeline. Okay. If I have all the knowledge in the world about the company and the products, but I have nobody to present it to, then all that knowledge is moot. It's kind of useless, right? So then I need to improve on the previous steps so that I can start using my knowledge to present to people. Okay. So this is why we're going to start at the very beginning of the process. And every single step of this process, there's a goal for each step. Okay, I know a lot of the times we think, okay, our goal is to get a customer. Our goal is to get a new partner, right? But inside of every big goal, there are also smaller goals. So let's start with the contact list. The goal for the contact list is to put as many people on this list as possible. Okay, so here's a question that I'm going to ask you. How many people are on your list today? Because the bigger your list is, the bigger your business will be. Right? Again, remember the goal of this step is to put as many names as you possibly can. It doesn't matter if you think they're going to say no. The biggest mistake that most people make in this business on this step is that they start filtering and making judgments in their mind. Oh, this person is too busy because they have their hands full with all their new babies. This person is so busy because they work an 80 hours a week job. And we start making excuses for people. But that's not the goal of this exercise. The goal of this exercise is to put as many people on this list as possible. Okay. So to succeed in our business, we always hear the saying, especially if you're full-time, that you should be talking to at least 3 people every single day. This is the minimum. And if you do this every day, you will start to see results and you will succeed in Nu Skin. Right? So are you talking to 3 people every single day? And as you look at your list right now, do you even have 100 people on your list? If you don't have 100 people on your list, I want you to think about it and just do some simple calculations with me. Okay? If you don't have 100 people on your list, you will run out of people to talk to in about 1 month. Right? If you're really doing the necessary steps and talking to people, 3 people every day about our business, right? 3 times 30, that's 90, right? So if you have less than 100 people on your list, in about a month, you're going to have no one else to talk to. So this is why having a list is important, because it also affects your mindset. It affects your thinking. If you have a lot of people on your list and 10 people say no, right? Then you're like, okay, it's okay because I still have 300 people left to contact. So you still feel hopeful. You still feel optimistic. But if you have 20 people on your list and 10 of them say no, now what does your mind start to think? Oh my God, I've gone through half my list already. If the other 50% say no, then I have no one to talk to, right? So that is why even having a big list, it helps with your mindset. It helps with your thinking so that you can stay positive and you can keep moving forward when people start to give you objections or people start to say no. I know in One Team Global, I've heard a lot of the leaders do the trainings to their new partners, and they tell their partners, you need to have 2,000 people on your list. And when you say that to people, when you hear that number, it sounds very overwhelming. It sounds kind of daunting. 2,000 people. And people start to stress out and they start to go into the mindset that, oh man, I don't know 2,000 people. I can't put 2,000 people on our list. And that's when the leader needs to challenge the partner and say, okay, let's open up your phone right now. Go to your contact list. I'm going through my contact list right now and see how many names are there. And you'd be surprised how many people are listed, are saved into the phones of people, right? Not only that, think of all the people that you're connected to on social media. If there are certain people that you want to approach in this business on social media, then take that name, write it offline on your list and make it as big as possible. Right? Once you do that, once you're able to make this huge list of people, then the next step begins. And the next step is where we start to filter this huge list of people and narrow it down, and we look for the people that are right for a business. Okay. And to do that, we need to focus on the part of inviting. So when it comes to inviting, okay, what is the goal of inviting step? The goal is to simply create curiosity so that you can show people Nu Skin. That's it. Whether they say yes or no, doesn't matter. Your goal is to simply create curiosity and try to lock in a time so that you can show them Nu Skin. So many people have such a great fear of inviting because they're worried about rejection or whatever it may be. But this is where the work really starts in New Skin. Okay, the goal setting, the making the list. That's not really the real action steps of New Skin. Once we start talking to real life people about New Skin, once we start to talk to people, that is when our business has opened their doors. So don't overthink it. Just do it. So many times people are frozen and do not take action because they're just thinking of all the possibilities that can happen from their inviting. And most of the time, people think and are worried about the failure aspect. Oh, what if they reject me? Oh, what if they ask me this? What if they ask me that? Right? The invitation should be short and simple. And I cannot stress this enough. If you are talking to someone for 20 minutes trying to invite them to a presentation, you are doing it all wrong. The invitation part, right, should be very, very short. It should be about 2 to 3 minutes maximum, right? If you think you're doing an invitation and you're doing it for way too long, then you need to adjust this part, right? Because it shouldn't take 20 minutes to invite. I can do an entire BOM in 20 minutes. I could do a whole compensation training in 20 minutes, right? The invitation part should be very, very quick. So, what do we need to do to invite effectively? All right. Well, the invitation shouldn't be uncomfortable for you or for your prospect. So, if you want to invite effectively, you need to focus on the 5 C's of inviting. So, what are the 5 C's? The first is to clear their time. If you're calling someone on the phone, you don't know if they're cooking as you're calling them or if they're changing the baby's diaper. So, you want to make sure that you caught them at a good time, right? So, you throw in one sentence to do this first part. Hey, Lisa, I know you're always busy, but do you have 2 minutes to chat? And if she says yes, now I have 2 minutes of her undivided attention. She's giving me 2 minutes of her time, right? The next step is to compliment her. And the reason you're complimenting is because you want to open their mind up, right? When you compliment someone or when you get complimented, how do you feel? You feel good, right? You put your guard down and you're more open. So when you compliment someone, right, then they open their minds and will listen a little harder to what you have to say. Right? So again, the compliment doesn't matter. And right after the compliment, you can go straight in to the curiosity part, to creating curiosity. And so, if I'm, let's say, calling Lisa, I say, I know you're busy, but do you have 2 minutes to chat? She says, okay. Then I jump right into it. I jump right into the pitch of my invitation. And I ask him, the reason I'm calling is because I've always valued your opinion on things. And I wanted to get your feedback on a new product that my company is launching. Do you think that statement will make her curious? All right? Maybe or maybe not. But how do I know if she's curious or not? The way that I know if she's curious is if she starts to ask me questions. Right? If I made that statement and she doesn't say anything, then I don't think that I succeeded in creating curiosity because she's not showing interest or attraction my way. Right? So I may need to give her a little bit more information. Right? So I can say, I want to briefly give you some more information about this product. It's a new beauty device, and in 2 minutes, it can brighten and plump up your complexion, even when you're on the go. If you're running on it, if you're going on a date, if you're going to a meeting, 2 minutes before, boom, and your skin will be plump and bright. Right? And I give her just enough to make her curious. Right? So then I'm going to lead her to a certain direction. And where I'm going to lead her is to the commitment part, is for her to give me more time so I can do an actual presentation to her. Right? I will love to give you a demo, to give you your feedback. It shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. Are you free this Saturday? Right? Remember that you are in control of this conversation. You are in control of this invitation part. And where a lot of people make a mistake is that when they're inviting, they let the other person take control. So when they start to ask them a question, okay, Paul, tell me more about the device. Tell me more about the company. Tell me more. right? The reason that they want to know more is because they're already curious. That's why the fourth step is to control yourself. Don't give away everything. Don't give them too much information. Right now in Korea, they're launching, as of March 1st, a new program where you can become a sales rep with our company in 1 month, or not even 1 month, in 1 week, because they made the requirement that much easier. So if I'm inviting someone to take a look at the new skin business, how would I go about that invite? Maybe I'll be even calling one of my old partners that's no longer active in the business, right? So the same thing. Hey, Lisa, do you have 2 minutes to chat? The reason I'm calling is because we did business together, and I've always valued your opinion when it came to our business. And even though you're not doing this business with me, I would still love to hear more about what you think. Nu Skin upgraded their comp plan for the next 3 months. There is this new program where you can be an executive by just doing 2,000 points. And I want to show you this model because me being in Nu Skin business, I may be biased towards it, but you're not in the business. So I want to hear your objective opinion. Can you spare 30 minutes and help me out? Right? When you invite like this, right, you're not giving pressure or burden on the person you're talking to. You're keeping it very light and casual. Like, hey, I like you. I like the way you think, and I want to show you something, and I want your feedback. And if they like it, then they're going to want to learn more. If they don't like it, then you got your answer. Right? So keep the invitation light, and remember that you are always in control of the invitation, and it is your job to lead them in a certain direction. And if they start asking you all these questions, then you succeeded in creating that curiosity. So your response is simple. That is a great question. But when I first called you, I asked if you only had 2 minutes, and it's also because I'm so busy too. I'm pressed for time. I'll answer all your questions when we get together. Are you free this Saturday at 7? Right? So even though they're trying to take control and say, Paul, answer these questions for me now, you're saying, no, I'm the one in control, and I don't have the time to give you right now because I'm so busy and I'm free on this date. Right? So you're kind of playing this balance of letting them know that, hey, I'm not going to just match everything to you, right? Meet me in the middle. Right? So I'll give you my time, you give me your time, let's set a date, and I'll answer all your questions then. Right? So once we do that and get their commitment, then we move on to the next part of the step in the pipeline, and that is the presentation. So what is the presentation? The presentation is your opportunity to show people how Nu Skin's product and business will add value in their lives. That's it. And everything you're showing them in the presentation is to lead them to the conclusion that Nu Skin will improve their lives, right? Because when they're coming to meet with us, they don't know if Nu Skin will add value to their lives. So this is my chance to show them and prove to them that, hey, Nu Skin's product or business will add value in your life. So if you are talking to someone that has a problem with their health or their weight or their skin, then you need to show them how their product will add value to their lives by solving these concerns and problems that they have. Right? So a lot of this, you won't know which direction to go in unless you start asking them the right questions, unless you know enough about them. Right? So if you know that someone has been really burnt out with their job, if you know that they want more time with their family, you know that their problem is geared more towards the business side, because our business solution, right, will help them with their problem. So, this is why we need to kind of do the human to human part, all the knowledge on the science and the products, right? It's good to know, but it's not necessary. Your job is not to be a PhD in age-lock science or, have a master's in all the ingredients that are going into it. Nu Skin has all those PhDs already for our benefit. These PhDs already do all that work. So what do we need to do? We just need to connect them to that information. I do not sit down with the people that I'm talking to a business and explain to them the share, build, and lead part of our business. I send them to a compensation video that I made or the company has made, and I say, watch this video, right? And then let's jump on a call and I'll answer your questions and I'll show you how to make money with this plan, right? Do not sit there and go through the mundane training that's not necessary, that they can get anywhere else, right? Know that your time is valuable. So when you're doing the presenting part, make sure that it's very targeted to them so that they can go out, so they can leave that presentation and know, oh man, Newskin may add value in my life, right? So the presentation part, people overthink this part too. And the presentation part is simply just sharing your story. A great salesman is nothing more than a great storyteller. And I want you guys to practice your storytelling skills rather than going on about a product benefit and saying, the TR90 has this much grams of protein, these ingredients, that ingredients. Just say, oh man, I've struggled with my weight for so many years. I've been on every fad diet. I've had yo-yo effects where I go up and down. And I was really skeptical with TR90, but I tried it and I lost this much weight. I'm healthier. My mind seems clear and it's benefited me so much. And I know that you also struggle with the same issue. So I thought of you. Right? This story will be much more effective in selling a product than me just listing a bunch of ingredients. So, to do really good presentations, what is the secret? The secret is to have a script. And I'll tell you, scripts have helped me so much in this business. And, I was born and raised in the United States. So Korean is not my first language at all. And I'm not really that good in Korean. So when I started to having to give speeches in Korean, it stressed me out. I couldn't sleep because I was so fearful of speaking in Korean. Speaking in English in the beginning of this business was hard enough, but to have to speak in another language, it felt impossible to me. So I scripted my entire presentation in English and then re-scripted, translated that script into Korean and read it over and over again. Right? Many people think that if you use a script, that it's not going to be effective because, oh, Paul, if I use a script, it's not going to sound natural. It's going to sound fake, right? And I can understand why people may think like that, but that's nonsense. That makes zero sense at all, right? Um, One of my favorite movies, okay, was the movie Braveheart with Mel Gibson. And there was a scene in that movie where him and his troops are about to go into war. And his troops are facing the opposing army, the opposing enemy, and they are outnumbered. And Mel Gibson, he gives this speech to his people. And it's a very powerful speech to motivate them, to fire them up, to prepare their mind for war, right? And as I watched that scene, for many of the people who watch that movie, during that time, they get fired up. They get inspired by what Mel Gibson is saying. And other parts of that movie, as the lead actor, when he says certain parts, people laugh, people cry, people are motivated to really take action in their lives. Do you think that when he was filming that movie and the director said action, that Mel Gibson started thinking of the words at that time? No, of course not. The writers wrote out this script and the actor looked at that script and rehearsed it over and over and over again. And once they rehearsed it so many times, what happens? They get it memorized in their minds, right? So now that script is memorized. So once that script is memorized, you're no longer worried about what words you're going to say. I'm sure many of you have heard that when you're communicating, 10% of communication is verbal and 90% of communication is nonverbal, right? So that's why you always hear this saying, it doesn't matter what you say, it matters how you say it, right? But if you say everything perfectly and then you say it in a manner um, using the nonverbal skills, your message will be so powerful, right? So, to go a little deeper into that, right? If I'm talking to someone about the new skin business, and I'm doing a business presentation, and I'm wondering, what is the next slide? Oh, what is the next point that I'm going to say? What sentence do I need to say after I make this statement? Then you're not prepared. Then that's no different from an actor that's filming a movie and doesn't have their script and their lines memorized, right? That's not very professional. So we need to have that memorized. Because the truth of the matter is, as I said, 10% is verbal. So memorize that 10%. And once you have that 10% memorized, now your brain can start working on the other 90%. When I give presentations in front of a big audience, I get a lot of great feedback from people. Right? And people don't realize how much work that I've put in to that performance. Every time we give a presentation, it is a performance. And think about if you're a Broadway actor and you're going to give a performance, you want it to be the best that it can be, right? So at that time, it's like, if I have the words memorized, you know what other parts I focus on? The nonverbal parts. When you're giving a presentation, when you're doing public speaking, there are so many important elements like the pace at which you're speaking, the pitch, right? Using pause. There's all these different skills that we can use. Sometimes when I'm doing an opportunity presentation and I see someone dozing off, what can I do to get their attention back? And the answer to that is there, right? Like if you know what to look for. So if I'm talking to people and someone's kind of falling asleep, then I can raise the volume of my voice, speak with more intensity so that they are drawn back into what I'm saying. And if I'm talking and somebody is on their phones, not paying attention, then I could talk quietly as I share a story. Because when I do this, what happens? People are wondering why I started changing the volume of my presentation. There are times when I give a presentation and you just pause and you don't say anything. Because during that pause, what you're doing is giving people the opportunity to catch up to all the things you said. You're giving their mind time to process, right? And these are the nonverbal skills that you can start to develop once you have the presentation. Once you have the words taken care of, you can do all these other things. You know, I hate watching my own recordings. But as painful as it is to do that, I do it all the time. Well, not all the time, but I do it as much as I can. And every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I should have had a bigger hand gesture on this slide. Oh, I should have had a bigger pause after this sentence. And I take down these notes. And, you know, you are your own worst critic, right? But when you're critical of yourself and you have a mindset of learning, then every performance, every presentation that you give will be better than the last. So, you know, this is part of the performance part, of the presentation part. So it's not just for the presentation part. You should have a script for everything. You should have a script for your invitation, your story, you know, even objections that you hear, which I'm going to go into next. Okay, so after we do the presentation, what's the next step in the pipeline? We need to follow up. Most people will not join us in this business, will not become our partner after the first presentation. Usually it'll take 5 or 6 exposures before they will come and join us into the business, because they're going to need to learn more, right? So if you are afraid to follow up, you need to get over that fear right now. Because if you are not following up with your people, then your invitation and presentation was all for nothing. What was the point of inviting people and giving a presentation if you're not going to follow up with them to see where they are right now? And I know why people are scared to follow up. It's because there's that fear of objections and rejections. But here's the thing, you know, let's say you follow up with someone and they just flat out reject you. They don't even tell you why. They just say, you know, Paul, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not interested. Please don't call me again, right? Yeah, sure. I'll be like, okay, thank you for your time. You're going to keep that relationship good. You're not going to burn the bridge. You'll be like, you know, I appreciate you coming to my meeting. I thank you for your time. I know you're busy. You know, I hope to keep in touch with you in the future. right? So you just hang up. But here's the thing, they actually did you a gift if they did that. If they know 100% that they do not want to join you in the new skin business and they tell you no right away, they give you a gift because now you can move on to the next person. You don't have to worry about, do I need to follow up with them? Where are they at? Maybe I didn't do enough. You stop asking yourself the question and you just say, okay, follow up 6 months later, and you move on to the next person. But most times, people will give you an objection. And to me, an objection is nothing more than an excuse. Right? And people give you these excuses because they are not 100% certain. Right? So I read this book recently, and in that book, it said every sale is the same. And I thought about that, and I was like, how can every sale be the same? Real estate, insurance, network marketing, car sales, whatever it may be, the product's going to be different. The industry is going to be different. So how can somebody say every sale is the same? And as I read that book, it kind of broke down the reason for all of that, right? And to make a sale, if you want to close a sale, the person that you're talking to has to have 100% certainty in 3 areas: in the product or service that you're offering to them. They have to have certainty in you and certainty in the company or brand. Okay. And if you achieve 100% certainty, then you'll be able to close this person. So, whenever somebody gives you an objection, right, it means that they do not have certainty in some areas, right? So, always think of everything in a scale of 1 to 10. How certain is your prospect when it comes to the product, you, or the company, right? If they have complete trust in you because they're a family member or a best friend or whatever it may be, right? And you know that they have 100% certainty in you, but they still are giving you excuses or they still say no, it means that they don't have 100% certainty in maybe new skin, or they don't have 100% certainty that the product will actually work, right? So um, remember, your goal is to always get people to the 10, to 100% certainty in those 3 areas. So what are some of the common objections that we hear when we do this business? Well, there's 4 that we hear all the time, right? And during the objections part, this is the part of the process where you need to now extract information and get more information from your prospect. The presentation part is where you're giving them information. The follow-up part and handling the objections is where you need to get information from them. So one of the things that we commonly hear, Paul, I don't have time, right? So when you're handling these objections, you always want to be in agreement. Right? You don't want to disagree with them. You don't want to be like, what do you mean you don't have time? You golf every weekend. What do you mean you don't have time? You're watching TV all the time. You have time for football, right? So instead of disagreeing with them, just be like, I know, you're always so busy, man. You never have time. Do you ever see yourself, the situation changing where you'll have more time? And now you're getting more information from them. Oh, that's a great question. How much time do you have every week? Can you give me a number? How many hours do you have every week? And whether they say 1 hour or 10 hours, your answer is going to be like, great. You can get started in this business committing 1 hour a week, and you're going to show them how to do it. Right. So that's why the handling objections, they train you on, if I could show you, would you? Right. If I can show you how to do this business with your busy schedule, with 1 hour of week that you can do the new skin, would you be willing to do this business, right? And if they say, hey, I absolutely have no time, be like, oh man, that must be so difficult for you. You have your family, you have your job. When do you have time for your kids? When do you have time for your wife? And you start asking them these questions and you try to find out where their pain points are. And from there, they start to think. And now what you're doing is you're starting that cycle all over again, so that you can show them how new skin can solve their problems and add value in their lives. Everything is a straight line, right? The invitation, the presentation, the follow-up. And that line is going towards closing them. And in the follow-up part, right? They may give you an objection of, I don't have time. I don't know more about the company. So you're going to go back and loop around back to the presentation part and address that concern. And when you address that concern, their certainty level in their doubt will increase. Right? So that's why you may need to do 5 or 6 different presentations, because they may have different concerns at different stages of the closing process. But we don't know where they may be in the closing process, right? If they say, I don't have money, be like, oh man, I know so many people are struggling with money these days. How long have you been, how long has this been a problem for you? Do you have a solution? Right? Let me show you my solution. And you go back and give them another presentation, right? Now, some people may say, oh, that's MLM. Oh, I don't have time for that. Like, I don't like that. That doesn't work, right? And we'll hear that a lot. And a lot of the times we'll get very defensive when we hear things like that, right? So at that time, what I do is I show them this. They say, oh, that's MLM. That doesn't work. MLM is a very vague statement. It's a whole industry, right? So I tell them, oh, I understand. I understand why you could feel that way. There's so many people that have a negative view of this type of business. Can I ask you, which part don't you like? Right? Think about that for a second. If they say, oh, I don't like that. I don't like those type of gigs, right? Be like, oh, which part? And then let them answer. Wait for them to answer. And be like, they're going to be like, what do you mean? I just don't like that business. Well, no, there are so many parts to my business. Here's the actual work of my business: contact list, inviting, presentation, follow-up. This is the sales process in any industry. Which part don't you like? All right, which part did you have a problem with? And they're going to give you a reason. They're going to be like, I hated the rejection. I hated getting rejected so much, right? And now you know what their issue was, and now you can address that particular issue, right? So you need to dig deep when it comes to these objections. You need to know what is the real reason that they have this viewpoint. And if you could go and find out that main reason, only then can you address it, right? If you have, someone that's covered in blood, right? You need to know, where is the bleeding coming from? Because once you find out where the bleeding is coming from, then you can address it at the source, and then you can move forward from there, right? So that's why always dig deep and find out what the real reason is. And many times you won't know, right? When you're following up with people, I don't know. I do so many ABC meetings. I do so many closing meetings for so many different partners when I'm on my business trips, right? There's times where I'm just having people sitting in front of me. And of course, my partner will be like, oh, the person we're meeting with tomorrow, is this, and that. They saw this. And I don't remember on my busy schedule. So I sit down with them and I do a little small talk, right? And I simply ask them, I know that, you've seen some parts of Nu Skin business. You've heard the presentation, you've gotten a demo. And I always ask this question to every single person. And they give me all the answers when I ask this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I don't want to do Nu Skin, 10 being, I'm all in Nu Skin, right? What's your number? And I ask them, what is your number on a scale of 1 to 10? And here's the thing. If they answer, a low number, then the timing's not right for them, right? If they answer 4, 5, 6, then the real question that they have in their mind is this real? Do these products work? Is this company really a strong company, right? So if they say 4, 5, and 6, I know what their issue is, and I know what I need to address to bring them closer to a 10, right? If they say 7, 8, 9, they're worried about their own confidence. They're worried about you, right? So what they're really thinking is, can I do it? And then you can address that. If they're at a 7, 8, or 9, they are closable. And a lot of the people that I talk to in my ABC meetings, they're already at an 8 or 9, because I train my partners to only bring people in front of me that are at a 7, 8, or 9. And when I ask them, the prospect, this question directly, and they say 8 or 9, then I say exactly what I said to all of you. I say, okay, good. If you were at a 1, 2, 3, then I wouldn't even talk to you more about Nu Skin. If you were at a 4, 5, 6, then you were probably wondering if this is real. And that's a very legitimate question to have. And if you were at a 4, 5, or 6, I would recommend that you use more product. I would recommend that you listen to a little more presentation so you can learn more about our company and its programs. But because you gave a high number, it means that you must believe that Nu Skin's products are good and the company is real, right? So the real issue that you're having right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, is can you do it? And they're going to say, yes, I don't know if I can do this. And then when you have them say that, that's when you instill them with belief and confidence. And I say, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. I had no confidence because I had zero background in sales or marketing. And that's why we have these systems in place. Everybody that most of the people on my team, they were where you are. They had zero experience. They had very little confidence. But your friend who brought you in front of me today called you because they believe in you. I believe in this system. I believe if you're willing to go towards your dreams and work this system, I know you can succeed and I will help you every single step of the way, right? What is our job as leaders? To reduce fear and raise confidence. This is the same for prospects. When they are thinking about joining Nu Skin, they're full of fear and doubts. They have so little confidence. So our job, in order to close them, is to raise their confidence. You can do this. I know you can do this. And I will help you every step of the way, right? These statements will help them reduce their fears and raise their confidence. So you need to be able to go out there, right, and ask this question to every single prospect that you're following up with, because only they can give you the answers, right, for you to get them to a 10 certainty level, right? So, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to sales skills training. And I can't tell you how many books that I have on sales, on, there's strategies where it's like, you need to do this in the first 4 minutes of your presentation to increase your success rate by this much. The skill of sales is actually a science because there's been so many studies and practices on it. And all that knowledge is out there, right? So these days, there's so many great lectures that help people with their mindset and help people with their products, knowledge training. But I've been doing a lot of focus on sales trainings because I realize this is where people are lacking the most, right? So always remember, we're in the direct selling business, right? And if you want to be at the top level of our company, you need to be a professional direct seller. And if you want to be a professional direct seller, you need to be a sales pro, right? So know that we need to really develop this skill. And I encourage you guys to keep reading books that are going to develop these sales skills for you. I'm so excited for this new year, March 1st. February is a hard month because it's a short month, right? And with the Lunar New Year, a lot of parts of Asia, they take a couple weeks off, especially in China, to just celebrate the new year. And with this new month that's incoming, so many people are now refocused, re-energized, and they say, all right, let's build this business now. Let's make this a great year. And, this is the year of the ox, right? The year of the bull. And this is where we need to be strong and just keep moving forward. It doesn't matter how many years you've been in this Nu Skin business. It doesn't matter what your title is right now. I want all of you to have the mindset that everything that you have done up until now, right? Whether it's been for 1 year or for 10 years, everything that you've done up until now is to prepare you for this explosive growth that we're going to see in 2021, right? And I know whenever we start something new, there's always fears and doubts in our minds, right? And the best way to overcome those fears is to just shut your mind off and take action. Start feeding your pipeline. Look at your list, fill it up, throw 100, 200, 300 people in the pipelines. Invite as many people as you can, not worrying about what they're going to say, just knowing that you succeeded as long as you invited them. Okay, start from there and then keep moving forward, right? And if we do this on a daily basis, I have no doubt that we can grow. I looked at the 2020 financial reports of Nu Skin globally, right? They recently released all that information 2, 3 weeks ago. And there has been tremendous growth in the Americas market. But the Korean American market has not grown as fast or as much as some of the other teams. And I believe this will be the year where the Korean American teams will really grow, right? And really kind of start to catch up to the growth that we've seen in some of the other teams. And that'll only happen if we start putting people in the pipeline and really doing the action steps necessary to grow our business. So I know I went a little over on time. There's so much more, I would love to share with you, but in the interest of time, I'll cut it off right here. I hope that as we go forward, we'll continue to plug into these meetings. And for all of the Korean speakers, in this meeting, we're going to be doing another LOI Academy this month. We did our first one in January, and this helped to really develop the skills necessary, from demo skills to follow-up skills. And, it's going to be of great value to anybody who's interested in learning more about the actual actions that need to be taken to succeed in Nu Skin. So with that, I'll end this. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and I wish you all great success as we work towards and growing for this new year. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.